Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Ojai Historic Preservation Commission for Thursday, August 11th. We'll start with roll call. Here? Here?
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Quinn?
Here.
Commissioner Palmer?
Here.
Commissioner Hill? Here. Commissioner Bowe? Here.
Thank
To reflect that Commissioner Akins was absent this evening.
Thank you. I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Members of the public wishing to address the Historic Preservation Commission on items appearing on the agenda are requested to complete a speaker card and file it with the Secretary prior to the start of the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Cards are available in the Council Chambers lobby. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the Chair. Speakers should state their name and address for the record and must direct their comments to the Chair, not the audience or press. While the Historic Preservation Commission is in session, members of the Commission, city staff, and members of the audience are expected to maintain order and decorum and to obey the orders of the Chair. Thank you, and welcome, everyone. With that, I'll turn the floor over to Museum Representative Mark Lewis. And before you start, Mr. Lewis, I'd like to remind the commissioners when you speak to make sure your mic is on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman McCready. Mark Lewis, President of the Board of Trustees at the museum, and as always, we have a lot going on. The current exhibit, which will be up all summer and into September, is Ojai Collects, and this is unlike the fine art collections we did a couple of years ago. This is very fine stuff that isn't necessarily fine art, and Commissioner Hill is represented by his vintage German beer stein collection, and you really do want to come and see these things. And as a matter of fact, we have, in addition to the exhibit, we have some town talks scheduled involving some of the collectors. And this Sunday, 3 days from now, I believe, Guy Webster, the inimitable Ojai institution, Guy Webster, who's represented in this exhibit by 5 beautiful Italian motorcycles from the sometime in the 50s to the 80s. That was his specialty. He used to have 360 of them, I believe. He's been divesting. He still has a couple that are really beautiful. And he's going to be at the museum to talk about the art and philosophy, I believe, of collecting Italian motorcycles. So that'll be from 4:30 to 6 this Sunday, the 14th, Guy Webster at the museum. 2 weeks after that, on the 28th, Herman Rush, who lives in the Upper Ojai and is represented in the collection by his Frank Sinatra memorabilia, will be here to talk about it. And his father was one of Frank's managers, so Herman actually was around Mr. Sinatra, and we'll have some personal memories as well as explicating his very interesting stuff. And then in the second half of September, which I'll be back next month to tell us about before it happens, Commissioner Hill will be appearing at the museum to talk about his fabulous beer stein collection. Going forward, this coming year, 2017, as all of us historical preservation mavens know, is the centennial of the Edward Libby Ojai Mission Revival, Spanish Revival makeover, which took place or was completed in the initial phase in 1917. That was also the point at which they changed the name of the town from Nordhoff to Ojai. So really this is the closest thing to an actual Ojai centennial, barring when they founded the town. This is the more important one. So we have a lot of things in store to celebrate that, and we'll be bringing those forth and hopefully involving the commission in some of them as we go along. And that's it from the museum.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Always a pleasure. There are no consent items tonight, so with that, we'll move on to site visits and ex parte contacts disclosures. I visited the arcade to check out the signage there. Any other disclosures?
I visited the arcade as well.
Me too.
Very well. Public hearing item number 1, Mr. Winiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Both items on your agenda tonight concern the same enterprise and business location. The first item that is subject to the hearing is a work permit. It is a work permit 16-02 to repaint the front facade for a business called Food Harmonics, which would be located in the Ojai Arcade, which is Ojai Historic Landmark number 5. This specific address is 254 East Ojai Avenue. The applicant is Food Harmonics of Ojai. The applicant is applying for a work permit to repaint the facade of the storefront of the new business, which is located in the arcade. It is currently the facade is currently painted a dark brown, and the applicant is proposing colors which would significantly brighten up the storefront. There are exhibits in your packet, photographs which portray the new color scheme as would be applied to that storefront, and also identifies those colors which are going to be employed. They are consistent with the guidelines for the arcade, which were adopted by the City Council in 2008. We have provided you with a revised staff report. There was an error with reference to one of the permit number, and also at Commissioner Vogue's suggestion, we revised the reference to the California Environmental Quality Act, both in the staff report, the resolution, and the CEQA exemption notice. So that was provided to the commission, and we have extra copies for the audience and the applicant if they so desire. Staff finds that the application is and request is compatible with the surrounding businesses and more specifically the arcade design guidelines, and we recommend approval to the commission. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions that the commission may have. I believe the applicant is represented this evening.
Does the applicant wish to speak and address us, or just answer questions? Okay.
Why don't you introduce yourself for the record?
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Gabriella Shano, and I'm the owner of Food Harmonics.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions or comments on the application?
Yes, I'm just curious what the original designation said about colors.
The current?
No, the arcade designation is way back when. Did you happen to look at it?
No, I don't know. I just know that when we reviewed the proposed colors, they are consistent with the color wheel and the colors that are allowed in the arcade. I don't know what the original color scheme for the arcade was, if that's the question.
I've been here that long. And that's one of my concerns tonight, is that both in the color selection for the walls of the frontage, that plus the signage colorations, it's very specific, and I don't know how this happens, but it seems to happen just about every time we have a sign that comes before us. They talk about it talks about the walls, and we're talking about that first. The sign will be later, but it says the exterior building services and the primary architectural elements, including but not limited to the windows and doorways and display cases and other should reflect both the mission revival architectural style, and it talks about the wall color should be whatever you do to the front, that it should blend with the wall color of the arcade. And it further goes on and tells about the wall color of the arcade. The wall color of the main arcade wall structure shall be Benjamin Moore Navajo white. And your colors that you're selecting are not Navajo white. They're gray and a stark white. So for my feeling is that I don't feel that conforms with the code that is written. And we'll deal with this one first. Now the old, and it's always been, incidentally, it's always been Navajo white. And I've been in the valley for close to 65 years. And so it's always been that color. And that's what when they do a revision, they're just carrying that color scheme over from past ordinances.
Question, sir?
Commissioner James?
I'm looking at the color of the Feast Bistro, and it looked like it was brown, not Navajo white.
Well, what it
Well-
was, there was a period of time, and I mentioned this at the last time we had a sign discussion. There was a period of about 2 years where suddenly signage did not come before our commission. And we had a number of aberrant signs and wall constructions. This was one of them during that period of time. So it was stained brown wood, and that's not what the overall arcade is. So and that's how that came to be. The hub is the one that has the oldest signage in the arcade, and that's the next door neighbor of this. And this goes back to the point of time where there was neon signs. There was a neon sign up on the top of the building that spelled out "Come to the Hub." Well, neon was taken out of the vernacular for signs in the arcade. They didn't want neon, and so what happened in that regard is that when those owners died off, then they had to take that sign down, and it was just grandfathered in. As far as the ones that escaped the scrutiny of the Historic Preservation Commission, you'll find 2 or 3 of them down at the east end of the arcade, Bonnie Lou's and a couple of others center, where you have these white signs, lots of wild colors, and those did not come under our decision-making apparatus. After a while, we said, why aren't these sign approvals coming before our commission for review? And then they stopped doing that, and it's been the way it is now ever since.
Well, we've got to clear this up, because I'm reading this, and it says, "The wall color of the main arcade wall structure shall be Benjamin Noir Navajo white. Color for window trim, doors, and signage should be selected from the architectural color palette that is available at the Community Development Department. These colors harmonize with the historic nature of the building and architectural integrity of the arcade." Then, further along here, in the materials from the city, now that says to me that the applicant should be able to paint their window and door
As long as it comes from the color palette, and as long as it is in harmony with the color
right.
scheme of the wall.
And then later in the materials here, as an example of the signage, they show local hero, and the window treatment is
That's what
green.
You're on the sign.
I'm in the sign ordinance.
Yeah. And
I'm in
Yeah.
the arcade design guidelines,
Yeah.
which
And
covers
there's-
signage and colors.
And it does, when you get into the signage, for the sign permit, for food harmonics.
Yeah,
If you read here,
we're just talking about the building right
I
now.
know, but we're saying here, there's a specific a reference to the Adobe Dunn Edwards signs, and it tells about the color palette for that one too. Now, were you given this information from the city?
What I was given was a list of approved paints and a paint sample board that I was allowed to choose from. And I took that sample board and looked at, the various shops on either side of me, looking for something that would look nice with that and blend in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's what I was given. I was under the impression that I had chosen from an approved set of Dunn Edwards paints.
I was too, so. Any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have a comment. I think, Terry, what you're saying is you want the wall to be Navajo white?
But you could use.
According to this general exterior elements?
Rather than the gray.
So my understanding is that the Navajo white, are you talking about the actual facade of the arcade, the stucco?
Yeah.
Okay, because the gray is actually going on the wooden part.
The wooden part that's down below.
Right, just the wooden part, and the above part is it also gray? Oh,
Well, you wanted
we
to-
were going to do it gray just so that it would all blend, rather than be choppy, but I mean,
You'd be the only gray.
other shops have done that. It kind of gives it a nicer sort of uniform look when it goes all the way up to the top. And the gray is one of the approved Dunn Edwards paints. So, I mean, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing what you were asking for.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say that the staff, I certainly respect the institutional knowledge of the commission, and we would, follow your direction. I believe that staff's interpretation is that the Navajo white applies to the stucco elements, the exterior of the arch arcade, and the building elements that are stucco themselves, but that wood elements and trim and what have you are eligible to use the other selected colors.
That's how I read it.
I'm looking at the picture here, and it looks like what's the furnishing store? Down Home Furnishings? They're gray, right? Next
They're
door.
gray right next door to us,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it would be a continuation, so that's a nice thought, you know?
We definitely did take that into
Yeah.
consideration.
Terry, do you see that picture?
I see this. Oh,
Oh, if you keep
Oh,
going.
you're looking at the old one.
Yeah, you'll see the old Feast Bistro, and then right next door is Down Home Furnishings, and it's the same color gray that she chose, so it continues that look. You know, it's a soft look.
Could you live with that, Terry?
well, I can live with the coloring of the wood portion that surrounds the windows and so on. I could live with that more than I can the sign.
So let's deal with the wall first.
Yeah.
So I think, does it call, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
It's Gabriella
Gabriella,
Shano.
Ms. Shano. Is the proposal, it looks to me from your illustration that the proposal is to stop the gray at the top of the woodwork.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the color choice.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Mr. Winiger?
Commissioner Convery,
Yes, in favor.
Commissioner Quinn,
Yes.
Commissioner James. Yes. Commissioner Vogt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
No.
Chairman McCready.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. Item 2, sign permit S1617. The project location is 254 East Ojai Avenue. Mr. Winiger?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This is the signage that's proposed for the business for which you just approved the work permit. And it is consistent with the colors. However, I would say that, and again, we did provide a revised staff report that reflects the changes that I mentioned with the previous item. I do recall that with the discussion on your with the previous sign, that you had requested that the background be earth tones, which is consistent with the
Ordinance.
with the ordinance and the guidelines. And I would suggest that has not been properly reflected here, and perhaps not
Right.
the right direction wasn't provided. So perhaps the commission could query the applicant whether or not they'd be willing to make that sort of adjustment, perhaps reverse those colors, and then it would be consistent with the guidelines.
Right.
So I would agree that this sign probably should have received a different direction.
I'm happy to have input on what,
Okay,
to comply with it, yeah.
I'd like to weigh in on this.
Commissioner Hill?
It's specific, the colors shall be harmonious with the building and adjacent areas and shall otherwise be compatible with the aesthetic goals of the community, which include backgrounds of earth colors, browns, and natural or stained woods.
Okay.
So that's specific. And my other objection, so I would be happy if you took that sign, let me get my picture of it. If you did your food harmonics, and you can see what, this is a typical one, down home furnishings. And it's got the dark background with the earthy, orangey, yellowy signage. But one of my objections with what you did in terms of your color, you selected electric blue. And electric blue is not an earth tone. It's not a wood tone.
Yeah, it's an approved color. Again, I was told to go to the approved Dunn Edwards paints for it. So it is an approved color. But and it
So
was
I
only
would-
going to be used in the lettering. So is it just
Yeah,
the?
that's it. Just where it says food harmonic.
Yes, it's only going to be used in the lettering. So are you looking for like a background that is a little more natural than white?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Okay.
The white is really, it's glaring.
I believe that the adobe was used as the background. That is the color that has been specified for the frame or for the border.
Yeah, that's
If you were to
the
use if you were to use the adobe with the blue lettering retained, I think that would be more consistent with the guidelines.
Not with the blue, electric blue on that.
That is a permitted color. In fact, I think the
Right.
more recent sign that we approved had like a purple color and this.
No, we didn't approve the purple one.
Well, and we reversed those colors.
I know we did. But by the time we got through with it, what was purple evolved into more of a brownish color, rather than that, the color purple. But the electric blue is,
I think, if I can interrupt, I think the applicant is saying she's willing to use the electric ray Dunn Edwards DE 3110 as a color on the sign, but not the predominant color. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
That's correct. I was wondering if
But-
we have it only for the wording, so,
Right.
which would be in the center, and the background was going to be white, we could easily change that to a more neutral tone, if that's.
an earth
that's-
tone, a brown
we could-
tone.
Yeah, we could
And
easily
then
do.
typically, the perimeter of the signs is the dark wood.
It's the same as the lettering.
Chairman, if I could say, my reading of this is kind of the same way as the other one. It says, which include, which doesn't mean this is only what we're going to accept, backgrounds of earth colors. It says, the main thing it says is harmonious with the building and adjacent areas. And if these colors are on the color wheel that we're giving out to people, and this doesn't say exclusively backgrounds of earth colors, I think we're imposing too many restrictions here.
Well, perhaps we should be looking at the color wheel. I don't know what,
Typically,
I never remember an electric blue color being on the color wheel.
I think typically what we've done in recent years is that we've tried to get the sign to look like a wood sign, which means the perimeter and the edge was the dark wood color. And then the background, we've tried to keep neutral. And then we've been pretty flexible on lettering.
That's the dark brown as the background.
Right.
this is kind of a template for
Right.
what most of the signs in the arcade are.
Right.
Except for the ones that get approved. during
So-
the-
It is confusing, because when you
I
take
know
a
it
walk
is.
down the arcade and you're choosing your sign and you see things like the Bonnie Lou, there are 2 or 3 that have a white background,
Yeah,
which we really
they're way
like.
down
I mean,
at
it's
the
our
end.
preference.
Yes.
But we also want to totally cooperate with, the look that everyone's looking for.
Well, we want to,
Let's do this. If you could, come back, and I know this is more work, but if you could come back with 3 options with a different color background, but with the same edge, same lettering, same design, and then the commission could decide on the background.
Okay.
And if we could direct you to go in a more neutral earth tone for that color.
let me just say this, if you're still intent upon the electric blue wording, the electric blue loses its punch if it isn't on the white. I would suspect that you would perhaps go with the earth tones and your adobe color here for your wording.
We have a logo that is already existing, and it's a lot of money and a lot of time have gone into it, and it does include blue lettering, so we would like to have some consistency between our logo and the sign. But I
guess what we're trying to achieve here is not a white sign.
Yeah, I understand that part.
Okay.
And I do want to just add that although it does say electric blue, it's not really that electric.
Right.
It's just the name of the.
It's the name of the color.
Color that was, but it's not as, electric blue can be a lot brighter than that.
Looks
And
like navy blue
All of
to
them are on the approved. It's the
Exactly.
blue that's on the approved palette. Yeah, it's a gray blue, actually,
Do
exactly.
you have the color wheel there?
It's
Commissioner Quinn? Oh, I'm sorry.
no comment.
Contrary.
I'm
May I
innocent.
Okay.
make a comment?
Yes, Commissioner Volk.
When are you opening?
We're trying to get open. We're trying to get open by the end of September.
End of September.
Mm-hmm.
Will we have another meeting by then?
Yes.
Okay. So
So I
you're
guess
not too
w-
troubled
sounds
about
like
our
we'll
bringing
o-
you
we'll
back?
op- Well, it sounds like we'll open without a sign then, because what we'll
I'm
open.
just wondering whether or not we can make a resolution with an option in it, so that, if you could write out what you have in mind, and if that turns out to be agreeable to you, you can go forward, and otherwise, you can come back with another alternative.
That would be great if we could go away with something today. I think we're pretty set with the blue, and I promise it's not as bright as it may seem. It's a bluey gray. We're pretty set with that in words. We can take off the white background and make it more of a, I don't know, I'd have to look again. You also want to make, I want to look at the aesthetics of it and make sure
Yes.
it looks
Sure.
nice.
That's one of the nice things about when you look at it, your neighbor. That's a very beautiful and aesthetic sign.
Yeah, unfortunately, the person that makes that sign is apparently no longer here, because I think it's beautiful also, yeah. Yeah.
Commissioner,
I think, I think we need to have, the artwork to approve. I appreciate Commissioner Vogue's suggestion. So, I'm afraid we're going to have to
Yeah.
ask you to come back. And my experience has been with this, that the second time around is the charm. And I admit, we've had problems with the signage and being clear to the applicants what is acceptable and not. So I apologize for any confusion.
Can I just go away being really clear then, that all you're looking for is the same sign but with a different color where the white is? Something more natural, something that's not white, I suppose?
And I don't think the
That's-
gold,
that's-
I don't think the gold perimeter is going to work.
You don't think that's really?
Right.
It's not gold, actually, it's
I
an
think
adobe.
don't most of the signs on the arcade have the same perimeter? Am I
That
incorrect?
one right there.
Down home has a gold leaf.
Do they?
perimeter.
Yeah, they do. They
Well,
have a
right
gold
there,
right
you
here.
see it.
I can't tell from this.
Oh, it looks like it matches the lettering.
Okay, then I'm incorrect.
But, I just also, Chairman McCready, I think is maybe doing you a favor, because you don't want us to say, make the background Adobe, and then make the letters blue, and then you walk out and create the sign and you're not happy with it,
Right, right.
You don't want to live with that, so.
But can I just be clear on what we're looking to change?
Yes,
And that is
absolutely,
just simply
yeah.
the background
Yes.
white needs to be changed to something more neutral, more earth
Yeah.
tone?
Yes.
Like,
Well,
do you
not beige.
consider the Adobe
beige?
color?
Not beige, I mean, that's just about white.
So is
We're
the
pretty soon to be
Adobe,
calling it Navajo white.
Terry, do you consider her choice of Adobe an earth tone? Is that,
That is an earth tone, but I don't know.
is it earthy enough?
Well, I think she's going to lose.
I have a question, Commissioner.
Commissioner James?
This thing she has in the background, that's a really beautiful geometric design, it seems to me if you put too dark of a color, it would disappear. That's what I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that, too.
Yeah.
That's if you.
And that, I mean, the logo does, excuse me, that logo does look just like that, pretty
Yeah,
much.
but
So,
against white, it shows up.
yeah, it looks,
What
it's actually really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it works really nicely with the gray palette. We did a mock-up.
I'm sure.
I think you need to give direction, Commissioner Hill.
You want my direction?
Yes.
I would suspect if you look at some of the arcade signs going towards the west from Bonnie Lou's going this way, and to the west of your shop, you will see even this one right here, excuse me, even this one here, the Movino Wine Bar. That's the dark background with the nice white letterings, and it's got some color, it's got some green and red and so on in it too. But what you're looking for is a consistency for the entire arcade. We're not just approving your sign, we're approving how your sign fits with the historic nature of the arcade itself. And so when we see something that's different, then that disrupts the look of the entire arcade, not just your store, but the whole thing. And I know you're moving into a place that said wood, and but that's kind of an aberrant type, but that's the only one like that.
On that, in the middle
Yeah, in
there.
the arcade, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Has that been any help?
No, I would, yeah, if you want,
You know.
if you want, I would like an earth tone that you can hang your hat on, that would be compatible with the other signs in the arcade as the background color. And then as far as to pick a color, a lighter color than the blue, because the blue is going to die on a dark brown or a brown background, to select a lighter tone for your food harmonics.
If I may ask, if,
That's what was everybody asked for my opinion, that's right.
Well,
with the Navajo white, is that an option, or is it, okay, we can talk.
Okay. The background of the sign can be Navajo white?
Wait, background is Navajo
background.
white? Is that-
Or the lettering.
The background.
no, he's talking about the background.
No,
That's-
that wouldn't be, that's
Except for
I
the,
think that, would it be acceptable, do you think, if the background were a darker earth tone, but the center part where the name Food Harmonics is, had a light background?
so that that geometric thing would show up.
Yeah,
So that it would show up.
confused. That would put it into like a box.
Yes, I mean, that's the
And
only.
that, you're gonna kill the lettering.
Well, I don't have any further direction for you, I'm sorry.
We'll work with the applicant, and I think we can come up with something that will be acceptable to the commission.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so
Chesnell. I do
much.
have one question. What kind of a restaurant is it going to be?
Oh.
You got to tell us.
That's the good question. It is going to be an organic, healthy, we're going to have raw vegan, vegetarian, and meat. We're going to cater to everybody, but it's all going to be 100% organic and locally sourced.
Terrific.
And absolutely delicious, actually.
Terrific.
Yeah, we look forward to having you.
Are you the owner chef?
I am the owner, I'm not the chef.
Okay.
Chef is sitting right over there.
Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have a motion to continue this item to the next hearing?
Sorry. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, is there a consensus, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll work with the applicant and believe we can present something that'll find
Please,
favor with the commission.
yeah, please call me if you have questions. I'm available. Future agenda discussion items. Are there any discussion items that we have? None. Informational items. Again, I wanted to.
I had one
Oh.
of those that you just,
Commissioner Hill?
yeah, what is the status now of the ordinance issue? Of the rewrite of the ordinance?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to bill for Mr. Summers' time this evening, but I don't know the answer to that question. So I don't know. I believe they are working on the, what's the? Term sheet, yes, thank you. The term sheet for presentation to the city council. I don't know if a date has been established for that presentation.
When it is ready to go to council in some form, I would like to see it. Could you provide it for me at that point in time?
Certainly, we'll make sure that the entire commission receives a
Right.
copy of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Winiger, do you have a planning report?
Nothing to report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner comments?
None.
Commissioner Vogt?
Yes, I left something with Mr. Winiger about agenda item. Do you want to comment on that, or do I?
I think you should make your comments to the entire commission and seek
Okay,
their-
some time ago, I suggested to Kathleen Wald that there were errors in the list of historic landmarks and possible
that.
changes. And we communicated, and in effect, I asked to be put on an agenda, and I think through oversight, it didn't get put on. So I'd like it to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
I can do that.
Thank you kindly, sir. And then I think the email I gave you earlier today will provide all the information you need to do an administrative report on it.
Very good. I believe the commission also has raised at the last two meetings an issue which I apologize, I don't have a lot of background on, but there's some, I don't want to use the word monument, but it's like monumentation at the Y concerning, I don't know if it's veterans or there was some,
Oh, yes, that was a possible nomination that I might make, and I think I should do it formally before you need be concerned about it.
okay.
That is to say, it's
All
the
right.
Children's Memorial
Right.
at the Y.
It's just a little blocks.
It's a little box, but it's beautifully done, and there was a Pat Weinberger, was a moving force in that regard, and I think we may still have some action to take with regard to her receiving an award for environmental, I can't recall whether.
The Preservation Award, or we,
Preservation Award. I think we had Mr. Keaton nominated and Pat
And Pat.
Weinberger nominated,
We've-
and we probably need some further action on that.
I believe you made
We
those
did.
nominations at your last meeting.
We did.
we did. But when are we voting on those?
I
Why
will
don't you
get
put it
back
on
to you
the
on
agenda
that.
next time around?
Didn't we vote on it last time?
We did vote on it
Yeah.
last.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was additional action that was required.
We
I
don't
thought
have
that
the
was,
minutes,
I
so
thought
I
that
can't
was the
tell.
action.
Oh, okay.
Well,
We did.
and there were 3 nominations. I nominated Terry Talent. However, we voted, and your nominee, Pat Wine,
She won, yeah.
was the one we selected.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I believe that's the case.
Thank you.
We'll confirm, however.
Commissioner comments?
None.
I again want to bring up for people to put it on their calendar, and I don't have the specific date, but Ojai Day is important to the commission because we hold City Landmark, the old Ojai Jail open that day, and so if commissioners can make themselves available at least for a couple of hours to be there, it's actually a lot of fun, and we bring cookies, and I will reach out to Mr. Barrows about borrowing his movie police car to place there. So it is a lot of fun, actually, So, I
I'll bring my
promise you.
handcuffs, Darwin.
Bring your handcuffs.
This is when we need Rose Boggs.
So,
She always did this.
yes.
Do we have a clue when the date is?
It's usually the second week in October, I think, or first.
14th or something like that.
Yes.
Of October?
Mid-October.
What day of the week?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Mid-October.
Ojai Day.
Ojai Day.
It's usually beginning of October. With that, I'm going to invite Council Liaison Severo Lara to speak to us. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair McCready, and staff. We just had our meeting this last Tuesday. It was eventful. Just to give you a quick little rundown of what we were able to tackle, because we did have a lot of items. We were able, first off, just to approve the appointments to the Planning Commission, Building Appeals Board, Park and Recreation Commission, and Art Commission. And on that note, we finally got to talking about the commission/board's responsibilities and duties. And we did, that item came in front of the council because Councilmember Clapp and Councilmember Haney wanted to review all the duties of all the commission, all the boards. What came out of that meeting was, and your board isn't affected because your board has it does have 7. So it's going to be coming in front of you. Possibly the majority of the council was thinking of possibly reducing the number of commissioners' boards from 7 to 5. So we want the input of all the commission before anything is decided. So we'll be asking for your feedback. The second thing that came out of that agenda item was to eliminate, there was a youth commission board, and it hasn't been active since I believe the early 2000, I think 2001.
Where is that?
It's a youth commission board that was on the books, and in an attempt to cleaning up the Ojai Municipal Code book, we decided to repeal that. It's still it still has to pass the second reading just in case anybody has second thoughts on it. I know Councilmember Clapp was a little worried about just repealing it, so she might bring up an issue with that, but other than that, the rest of the council thought it would be appropriate since no one has really used it, and we don't know the history, we have no minutes. Another item that I don't know if you have, I saw Commissioner Convery reached to him. I don't know if you had a question about that particular
Oh, no, I
matter.
just had a question about the theory behind reducing the commissions to 5, from 7 to 5. Was there discussion about why you would want to do that?
There was discussion. It's possibly because it helps with the, and it wasn't my thought, so I'm trying to find my words in order to articulate what the council member was saying. He thought that what a 7 board member commission talks about could be talked about with 5, and it could possibly be more efficient. Not saying that 7 is bad, but just looking at, and then the fact that sometimes it's hard to find commissioners on the board, and the quorum of them has to be 4, and with the 5, if only 3 are able to meet, a quorum could be met easily. It was more practicality and principle. It was not to say that the commissions or any of the commissions are doing a bad job. So that was mostly the discussion. I know it's been thrown, this is my 4th year, my first term. I've dealt with it my first and second year a lot, and we consistently came back, that council came back with, no, we're gonna keep it at 7. Now it's coming back to us, and even though I'm not saying yes or no right now, if the majority of the council wants to look at that, I'm open-minded and I will listen to my colleagues. But I thought it would be better to get feedback from commissions, because last time we didn't do that, and we really did stir up the pot.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the process is done more upfront. There's more communication.
The only thought I would suggest is that there wasn't an issue in finding commissioners to serve this time around. All the boards are full, but we do get a lot of different input when we have more commissioners. It makes it a more balanced rather than just a group of 5, who might have on the same thought. We do have a nice variety, at least on this commission. So
No,
that's,
and that's why we want to make sure we get everybody's
yeah,
feedback.
and it's
I
more
mean,
community involvement. You have more of the community involved when you have more.
And I agree, there's pros and cons to it, so we would just want an honest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we know as council members that it is our prerogative, it's within our duties and responsibilities to look at the commissions and possibly change and reduce membership or change responsibilities, but we don't want to do that without the feedback of our commissioners. So we definitely want to invite you guys, and it's going to be coming before you soon, hopefully, whenever we get it on the agenda, we'll talk to the chair.
I also think that it's becoming more complicated because they're adding more designations to the code, so we would need more people to give input, like sites of merit.
And that's all good feedback, and so we'll look at that. It's not going to be an immediate decision,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be a process, and we're going to let it play out. Another issue that we did talk about, council meeting, was the tree ordinance, and we talked about we had a Libby Bowl fee waiver, which we approved. It's if I remember correctly, it's a fun one, so I want to make sure it's the Ojai Mardi Gras Crew Bowl. It was in hiatus for a couple of years and it's coming back, so I hope the community really attends. It sounds like it'll be a really fun. What else? We talked about adding an ordinance for banning vacation rentals. So if you're advertising, right, what's not legal to do, vacation rentals, then it just adds a tool. But there was discussions because how the ordinance was drafted was that it picks up companies, platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, all the other platforms there are that advertise for this. So there is current litigation against certain advertisement ordinance that pick up those third parties, and there's litigation going on right now for the city of San Francisco, and for, if I'm correct, it's another city down south. I'm drawing a blank, but there's
Probably Santa Monica.
no, yeah, it is, Hannah. And so we had discussions where we wanted this ordinance to be implemented because we wanted another tool to enforce, but we didn't want to become liable for a lawsuit. So what we did was we just eliminated that third party, but at least we got something that is cost efficient in order to add to our enforcement toolbox. And we didn't get to the finance. That's going to be coming hopefully, and we will be hearing the Terramina designation district item. It's scheduled for August 23rd, but I think we're going to try to do it at a special meeting August 30th, because after hearing the testimony that you guys heard about a month ago, we know that's going to be a long issue that we're going to have to deliberate about, and there's just a lot of public input about that. So we will definitely be hearing and respecting your recommendation, looking at everything, all the findings that you guys made, that the staff made, and then just making sure that we make the right decision as council members. Any other questions?
Commissioner Vogt?
Yes, one of the illegal short-term rental residents is a historic landmark. So I don't think that's appropriate, and you might find it to be another tool to amend Chapter 8 with the historic monument provisions to prevent that. At least you may clean out one of them.
Okay. Well, that's also a tool, and I'll make sure I pass that on to our interim city manager and our city attorney to see if we could amend that. And also, before I forget, another item that we didn't get to last Tuesday was we're going to be looking at the sign ordinance.
Okay.
we're looking at it because of a couple of reasons. The first reason is because of a U.S. Supreme Court decision. It's Reed versus the city of Gilbert, where they struck down the sign ordinance because they saw that the base was not base neutral. It was base content. So there's a underlining test that they call the scrutiny test that is now harder to prove that it's the base neutral versus base content. And so it's in our staff report. It's very confusing, but we got to make sure that our sign provisions and regulations are content neutral. And so another council member, I think it was Mayor Pro Tem Wyrick, raised a question that while going through the sign ordinance that we do, it is very confusing. So we decided to ask staff to do a term sheet to look at everything. So there's 3 options on the table. We haven't had time to deliberate within the council, but in case that we do vote to look at everything, I'm sure we will be asking for your input in terms of making it clear any historic signs that come in front of you guys. Now, that's all an assumption made. We haven't had that deliberation, but that's just if you guys have input before or want to read the item before we deliberate, that's on the table for next meeting. So I just want to make you guys aware of that.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, it sounds like you opened up, you opened up the box and a lot of stuff, you're telling us a lot of stuff that is crossing your minds. I would, just from my own point of view and my wife's point of view, we're both handicapped, and we would like to see the city address the parking situation at the post office. It's terrible. The handicap parking spot is the farthest one away of all the ones that are accessible, and there's only one spot. And the post office is perhaps one of the highest traffic for parking of any place in the entire town, and they have one handicap spot, and it's the farthest away.
Yeah, and we are aware of that. I think, and I'll get an answer to you in a response and see if there's anything we could do. But part of the issue is that the main highway, the main drag is the Caltrans.
Right.
So it's very difficult to get permits from them in order to make modifications. But I'll ask staff and see, because there was a constituent that came last year asking about that too. And I don't think, I don't think there was ever a follow-up. It was.
She asked all the time.
Yeah, but we'll try to get a response to that. And in essence, I think we're just trying to make everything clear. We really want to make sure that the process is clear for everything. Looking at the tree ordinance, seeing what the role of the tree committee is. When we're looking at all these issues, we just want there to be an understanding within staff, within commissioners, within the council, and most importantly with our community, so that when they have an issue or when they go and pull out information, it could be a lot more smoother. So with that said, I appreciate your volunteer work for this commission, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Lara. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I think you're to be commended for conducting a brief meeting.
You're not thinking
Yeah, we didn't have time to meet last time because I had to scoot out, yeah. Okay, great.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
okay.
Thank you, sir.